I haven't heard of one person that died, one child that died from drag queen reading. I get it. Okay, your position is you don't like it. You think it's inappropriate. Then
Yes.
why not speak to the president of the United States who talks about grabbing women by the genitals, who has 5 kids with 3 different women, who has unprotected sex with a porn star 2 weeks after Barron is born, who's a liable sexual abuser? I want to ask you some specific questions
Okay, go ahead.
about different people in this country. And let's clear this up because, like I said, there are a lot of people that think Proud Boy members, they're homophobic, they're transphobic, they're racist, you name it. So I'm going to ask you a set of questions and give you the opportunity. What do you think about Gay Pride Month? And what do you think about people that are homosexuals in general?
I don't I don't care whether who somebody sleeps with or if they want to parade down the streets. I do have a problem. And is it a big percentage of the LGBT community that does this? I think it's a very small percentage, but I have a big problem with like drag queen story hour and sexualizing kids. And I
So
don't think I think
inappropriate.
most Americans have a problem with that. I don't have a problem with we have we allow a lot of gays in our organization. Actually, one of
Mhm.
my good friends in the organization by the name of Jacob Engels, he's openly gay. We have no problems with it.
Okay. So you have a problem with drag queen reading.
Drag queen story, like if you want to be a drag queen, fine, go to a drag show. I got no problem with that. That's
Mhm.
completely fine by me. You could do that. But when you do that and you read in front of kids and you're I'm going to be careful with my words. When your boobs are out and like you're showing skin and you're doing that, I have a problem with it. And I think
Okay, let
most
me ask you
people.
let me ask you a question as far as consistency goes. I tend to disagree with you on drag queen reading. But again, no child and parents are forcing their kids to do that. That's a decision that the parents make. But would you also agree with me that it's inappropriate for a middle-aged man to go into teenage locker rooms and sexually brag about looking at a bunch of teenagers at a beauty pageant because he owns the pageant, because the guy who you support did that? Would you agree with me that that might be a little bit more harmful than someone in drag reading to kids?
I don't want to comment on it because I don't know the specifics of it.
Trump
Uh,
talked about it on the Howard Stern show, and he admitted sexually into going into women's locker rooms, teenage girl locker rooms,
mhm.
sexually. And well, I owned the pageant. I guess the point I'm trying to make, Enrique, is okay, you don't like drag queen reading. I can't think of a time where a child ever lost their life from drag queens. But yet, what are MAGA Republicans doing when it comes to gun control, the leading cause of death in children? I haven't heard of one person that died, one child that died from drag queen reading. I get it. Okay, your position is you don't like it. You think it's inappropriate. Then
Yes.
why not speak to the president of the United States who talks about grabbing women by the genitals, who has 5 kids with 3 different women, who has unprotected sex with a porn star 2 weeks after Barron is born, who's a liable sexual abuser, who has 25 women that have accused him of rape or sexual assault, and the guy who literally bragged on the Howard Stern show about going into teenage girls' locker rooms sexually because he enjoyed it.
Okay.
You see what I'm getting at here?
So
Go ahead.
I can't comment towards the Howard Stern thing. Maybe at some point I'll come back on your show. You show me
Okay.
the clip, and we'll
Okay.
discuss those things. But as far as I'm not looking for like the perfect like person. He's a very flawed person, very flawed person. But that's not. I'm not looking at that. I'm looking at his stances on policy. I'm looking at how aggressive he is. Towards making these changes, and there has been some aggressive changes that's happened in the past 2 months, and those are things I don't care about who he was or what he's done or what he does with his personal life. It's not none of my business.
Would you be okay with having a rapist run the country so long as you like some of his policies?
I don't think he's a rapist, so
He's a
that's
liable sexual abuser. He's got 25 women that have accused him of rape or sexual assault. We know that for a fact.
listen.
Um,
Those I go back. I'm not a big fan of the judicial system at all.
okay.
When I was taught in school with the lady with the blindfold and the even scale, that thing doesn't exist. That America does not exist. That is in the eyes of children that read books.
Okay,
Okay.
but regardless of the
With the New York
legalities,
with the New York case,
yeah.
that was rigged. That was rigged. The jury hated his guts, just like they hated me. And you're gonna wait 20 something years or 30-something years to come out of the woodwork to accuse the
There were
president.
30 plus women that came out of the woodwork when accusing Bill Cosby of rape. Does that mean Bill Cosby is innocent also?
I can't tell you about the Bill Cosby thing. I could only
Well,
talk about things I know, but
so are you claiming if a woman comes forward?
I was accused of being a seditionist. I was accused of being a white supremacist, which I think is ridiculous. So accusations to me actually mean nothing.
What if it's proven in a court of law, though? Then do those accusations hold more merit?
If I would sit through the court case and I go ahead and I'd read the transcripts or watch the court case. I wish they had federal cases were televised.
I do too. I'm with you on that. I do too. I just look at Donald Trump's history. That's all. And the way he's talked about women, the way he's treated women. And I think, in my personal opinion, I do think he has sexually abused women. And I think too many women have come forward. His own ex-wife, by the way, before he ever ran for president, in court documents, in a deposition, said that he raped her and then he paid her off. So that's here nor there. But let's talk about policy. That's personality and that's, behavior. But you had mentioned you liked his policies. I want to get your thoughts on that. What are some of the policies in the last 2 months that we can go one by one and discuss them? But I want to hear from you, Enrique. What are some of the policies that you like from the Trump administration?
Well, first and foremost, I do like his stance on foreign policy. I do like his picks when it comes to his appointments. And I do like right now that the strong stance on illegal immigration. It was the polarizing and the energetic topic in 2016. It's obviously still a topic. Obviously the American people vibe with those topics. And I think that he's been very strong in a lot of his policies.
Can I ask you about foreign policy if we can get to that? You think can you tell me what concessions Russia is offering right now? Because apparently his policy is give Putin everything he wants and call Zelensky a dictator and just raise the white flag. I don't know what his foreign policy is when it comes to ending this war in 24 hours, which we know hasn't happened. Do you think we should be sending COVID test kits to evil, murderous dictators and making sure that Putin gets what he wants? Because he's never called Putin a dictator. He's called Zelensky a dictator. Do you think that's intelligent foreign policy?
I think right now, when you're talking about two superpowers, there has to be room to negotiate. Now, whether the Russians were right in coming into Ukraine, I don't think so. But, war's ugly. War's not pretty. And there are battle lines drawn, and they did take some territory. They're not going to give up that territory. Ukraine doesn't have the power to take that territory back. You can't win at the negotiating table. You can't negotiate on the negotiating table what you can't win on the battlefield. So we know that those lines are going to be stagnant lines, and I think right now we're in a better position to go ahead. Ukraine's going to have to lose a little bit of their country, and that's unfortunate, right? For the Ukrainian people, but that's the truth. That's the nature of war, unfortunately. And
so what will stop Putin from doing it again then? If he gets the land that he wants, like you were just mentioning, and they don't get into NATO, which obviously Putin wants, what's to stop Putin from doing it again? Because it appears as though he's going to get rewarded for invading our allies. Enrique, what's to stop Putin from doing it again?
I think the EU needs to step up their game when it comes to funding for their military hardware. And I think that they need to start using it. And I think that we should not get involved. I think that it's a problem that we're funding it. We've been funding it for a very long time. I don't think that I don't think that we should be involved in any way that compromises and actually.
You don't want boots on the ground. It sounds to me okay.
I don't want.
You don't want us,
but I also.
Then I was just going to say. Then why would he threaten boots on the ground in Greenland? Why would he threaten to own or take over Gaza with no plan of how to displacing 2 million Palestinians? I mean, the guy who you support has literally threatened to put boots on the ground in Greenland, which I think is utterly ridiculous. And he's threatened to own Gaza. Like I don't understand.
I don't think. Here's another thing. The president's very good at bluster too. We've seen his conversations about Greenland, and he's trying to entice them to come in. He actually put a Truth Social post about it this morning, and trying to tell them, "Hey, look, we can make you really rich if you come
Yeah.
and join us, which
Yeah.
is fine. If the people of Greenland want to do that, that's fine. I don't. If he were ever to say, "Hey, I want to put actual boots on the ground," and he was dead serious about it, I wouldn't agree with him on that at all.
Right. But
Uh,
I guess, Enrique,
also,
we have a treaty with Ukraine, as you know, and we made a promise to them to protect them. And Russia didn't offer anything in those talks. And it seems like Russia's not offering any concessions now. And I've never heard the man who you support, Donald Trump, who I don't, call Putin what he is, which is a dictator. He's responsible for hundreds of thousands of people losing their lives. You've said it yourself. You don't support violence. Okay, good. I appreciate that. We agree. Vladimir Putin, as you know, invaded Ukraine, and Donald Trump is the guy who said that Ukraine started this. Surely you cannot
I
agree
do
with that.
I do believe that statement. I do believe that statement. They were warned not to try to. How would we like? How would we like if the Russians went ahead and established a footprint in Mexico, right? That is their border. They don't want them to join NATO, and they were warned multiple times. And they continued to do so. And
So invade a country and kill a bunch of innocent people?
I think that the Russians are doing what the Russians think is best for them, right?
Well,
And
The Nazis did what they thought was best for
now
them too, but that doesn't make it right.
it doesn't make it right, right? I'm not saying that the invasion of Ukraine was correct, but also you have to look at it, and they're protecting their own interests. They don't want an alliance with another border country, which they kind of
Okay, but Enrique, I agree with you.
screwed
They
that up.
are
The
they
Russians
are
kind of screwed that up because they pushed so much that now they have the country with the biggest border with them just recently joined NATO, right? So I don't think it worked out for them for the best, but I can't sit here and be binary and say, well, this this wasn't something that Ukraine did provoke. Did the Russians go overboard? I believe so. But I do believe that they should be more friendly, should have been more friendly before with
uh,
their neighbors.